Welcome back to the EU LCS studio in Berlin, as we just saw Splyce secured the win over the Unicorns of Love after a thrilling finish. And you guys have voted Kobbe as your player of the game with 30% of the votes. Vedius also just got off the caster desk after casting that one. Must have been hard actually to decide who was the most valuable player.
Well, for me, I was actually looking at like Hylissang. I thought that his impact in a lot of those fights was huge, but you have to give credit because Kobbe's positioning in the late game team fights and the amount of damage output that he is able to do, definitely worthy of player of the game, I feel.
Yeah, intense one, Maurice.
Definitely, like whoever made that call in the end, like to just put that Ivan down and just run down mid must have been insane.
Yeah, very thrilling at the end of that one. But now let's move on to our next match between H2k and Fnatic. And Vedius, when we were looking at H2k, you were talking about how you had your eyes on the rookies, on Caedrel and on Sheriff, but it wasn't the best start for them. So what's your analysis about that performance?
So to me, it looked like that for Caedrel specifically, he was definitely having a bit of a rough split, especially when he was going up against a fantastic mid laner in the form of Caps. You can just see some of the stats that he had across his screen. This guy had one of the best performances that we've seen from all of our mid laners here. And I'm not even... Wait, I'm confused now.
No. So what happened is the Caps graphic came up a bit too early, so your mind got played. We were actually talking about Caedrel and Sheriff.
Yes.
Because it was also very hard for them on Earth yesterday.
Actually, yes, he definitely had a rough time yesterday against Jizuke rather than Caps.
Caps did amazingly, but we're going to talk about that in a second.
So Caedrel, I remember specifically on his Malzahar ulti, he just messed up, right? He made a lot of poor decisions. He didn't have the best first game. And I feel like that nerves are just a big contributing factor to playing on stage for the first time.
He just didn't look confident. I think that's what it is. I think after one game, I think he's going to be a bit better. But obviously he has a tough matchup now coming in against Caps. And I'm really looking forward to how he actually copes.
Definitely so. In that H2k roster, it was all about how can the rookies enable the rest, or how can the veterans enable the rookies. So it's understandable that that might take some time. And as said, it's a big test up for them now. They're going up against Fnatic. Fnatic got off to a flying start also in their race for the title. Let's put it that way. Rekkles said in the interview, I would just be glad to get to the final, but we got to have high hopes for that. Amazing. You said, hey, Fnatic for me was the best team on day one.
Yeah, for me, it just looked like their intentions were great. I think the setups that they tried to accomplish were way different than we've seen in the past. I think last year they were really uncontrolled, too aggressive almost all of the time, where they didn't seem like they actually wanted to play the Marco, but rather relied on mechanics to help them out. I think yesterday we saw glimpses of what they want to do. But on the other hand, they didn't quite get the setups right. They still screwed up a lot of the times where they were over-eager, overzealous, and too fast on what they wanted to do and forced teamfights when they shouldn't. And I think for today, they have to clean that up.
Yeah, to me, it felt like the communication was a bit off at times, because you could see that on the one hand, Rekkles and Hylissang were pushing up in the top lane while sOAZ was going back to base, and those kind of mistakes will hopefully get ironed out throughout the regular season. But in terms of their early game and in terms of individual skill, these guys look good. Broxah had so many amazing EQ flash knockups. Caps had a fantastic performance, and individually this team looks good. Just a little bit more work on the direction that they like to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're getting that Caps graphic again, but we saw the stats beforehand, and that is one of the big questions. This is now a mature Fnatic. This is a Fnatic that with this roster has had a year under their belt. So we have to look at how they can rise above. Caps, Broxah, as you say, but Caps also in the mid lane specifically, he seems a bit more polished.
He certainly does. I'm impressed with the Caps that we're seeing returning to the LCS. We talked about how earlier in the week, this guy is not a rookie anymore. He's had a year of experience. He went to Worlds. He fought some of the best players in the world. And now we're expecting him to be one of, or continue on to be one of the best performing mids in Europe. And so far, he's holding up to that title.
He is. In the interview, Rekkles also said, well, the Fnatic you see now, that's definitely not going to be the Fnatic you see, hopefully, at the end of the playoffs. And some of the characteristics that we're showing, maybe that are similar to those of last year, will be ironed out. So we'll see how that evolves for them. If you look at their opponents a bit more in depth in H2k, amazing. Yesterday you were talking about Santorin specifically, about maybe how he's gotten a bad rep and it wasn't entirely deserved. However, yesterday he didn't make that much of an impact. Or is that more because of the circumstances of how that game went overall?
He disappointed me a bit. I hyped him up a lot. I still have mad respect for him, simply because where he's coming from and everything. But yesterday he kind of showed his weak side. I think the reactive gameplay is something that he has always struggled with, where he lets the other jungle take priority and then reacts to it and tries to just farm up and let his lanes do their things. I want him to become the solo carry again that he has shown to be in Challenger Series back in Season 4 and even in Season 5 in TSM, where he actually overtook with the Nidalee or with his Lee Sin and actually just aggresses out.
And I think that's what we want to see from all of these members of the team. The rookies want to be those solo carriers, the guys that stand out. Yeah, confidence. The old schoolers want to be the guys that stand out. So hopefully they can bring that to the Rift today. But we'll also soon find out if Fnatic can go 2-0 in the first week as we leave it to the casters for picks and bans.
Thank you, Sjokz. Joining me now is Martin Deficio.
Oh, I thought the small break was because you forgot my name.
Earlier on in rehearsals, I called Vedius by your name. I said Andrew Deficio Lunga for some reason.
Is that a good or bad thing for
I don't
me?
know. It's like a mixture, you know. I'm trying to take Quickshot's slot with you. I'm trying to take Drakos' slot with Vedius. I have to play the field a little bit early on, you know.
Let's get to the lineups, Medic. You're doing a very poor job right now.
Let's take a look at the players on stage. Playing on the blue side this game, we have Fnatic. In the top lane is sOAZ, their jungler is Broxah, their mid laner is Caps, AD carry Rekkles, support Hylissang, and their coach, Dylan Falco.
A pretty good start yesterday for Fnatic. Played very aggressive in the early game. And again, now today we actually want to see the same thing because they're facing H2k and they had a very slow start. But let's go through the lineups here. Smittyj is going to be up in that top lane. Santorin, the Dane in the jungle for H2k. Sheriff, AD carry. I skipped Caedrel because I'm saving him for last now. Promisq support, back to mid lane, that's Caedrel. And the coach behind him is Veteran. Veteran's castles here. You can skip around a little bit.
Yeah, you just dodge around the map. You don't know, maybe he'll lane swap to bot lane. You never know what you're going to see.
Right now, anything can happen. We have, you know, junglers suddenly is switching up and Wolf is playing jungle on SKT. We had Boris for Schalke, Vander AD carry. Like, anything can happen in Europe.
You never know what you're going to get here in Europe. I want to talk a little bit more about H2k, because yesterday they didn't have the best performances, and I think a lot of that comes down to perhaps rookie nerves for their mid laner Caedrel.
I mean, that's one thing. I think in general, just with H2k, it's going to take a lot of time because rookies paired with some veterans who haven't always found a lot of success in their previous teams. Like, there's a lot they need to figure out in terms of how they want to play, how they want to draft. Into this pick and ban phase here, pretty chill tunes as well.
It's very chill. It's a good come down from the base
after that last ending.
game.
Yeah, that's
gives
very
me a few
true.
moments to breathe. Evelyn and the Kalista ban, Azir being removed by H2k.
So far, Europe the only region that really wants to ban away that Evelyn. We are very scared of her. So that always shakes up the pick and ban phase a little bit because it means there's a lot of the what we consider the OPs still left open that people can trade. I do like the Azir ban though when you play against Caps after what he did yesterday. Yeah, just ban that. Don't risk it.
Especially if Caedrel hasn't quite settled into the stage yet as well. You know, you want to give him an easier matchup if you can.
But here's the thing. Fnatic just banned Malzahar. Azir's already banned. Give me Ryze.
Yeah, Zoe's still there.
Oh, Zoe was there. No, this is gonna be fun now. This is actually the one champion where I said to myself before the season started, I don't want to see a single European team leave this up. Because I just think with Zoe, even if you have a good counter pick, even if you shut her down in the early game, you get to the mid to late game parts, she lands one Q on a carry, and you're forced to go back to base. And it just gets so hard because she's so annoying. And now she's picked by Caps, one of the best mid laners in Europe.
And H2k for it, get the Jarvan. Didn't even take the Sejuani, which is the priority jungler that we've seen recently. And
they can get Ryze. They can still get Ryze. They don't have to take him now. They can take him next time around. But Sejuani coming in from Broxah would not be a big surprise, seeing as it's just a trade for the Jarvan. And then Fnatic will have a lot of very strong picks. But I'm really expecting Caedrel to take this Ryze, unless there is a special counter pick prepared.
I don't think we've found a special counter pick thus far. Not many people have actually got the chance to play against Zoe because of how often she's banned. She's been banned in high elo a lot of the time as well, so there isn't that much experience for most of these players playing into that matchup. Sejuani is the second pick for Broxah.
And okay, I like the time Kench ban from H2k. Makes the game a lot more fun to watch. Alistar would actually be one of the picks that we haven't seen a lot of because he's either banned or teams don't even want to touch him. I really soon want to see some Alistar, but it is going to be a flex Shen instead, which is a very smart choice here for Fnatic because you don't know if it's going to be top lane or bot lane. And here's the prepared counter pick.
Getting that Kassadin, something that we have seen played into Zoe in the past. I believe it was played in the Demacia Cup, but it doesn't always work, and it's very dependent on the rest of your team working well as well.
I mean, 100%. And again, this is the thing about Zoe is no matter how hard you shut her down, if you don't actually finish the game, she gets 3 to 4 items and she becomes so hard to deal with. Anyway, same thing can be said for Kassadin, funny enough, because if he gets to late game, well, you're gonna have that same thing where you're dealing with a carry that can jump basically every, what, second or third, you know, a second in the game, and then you have presence of mind so that you don't even spend any mana, and then you just kill everyone.
We should come back to that when we get into the game as well, because I think we need to break down this mid lane matchup a little bit more. I think we want to talk about presence of mind Kassadin, because it's not something a lot of people will have seen. Next ban coming out from Fnatic is the Ezreal, removing that from the pool. Kog'Maw was banned by H2k, so we are starting to fall down to that second tier of AD carries. Caitlyn, Tristana, Varus maybe, but the Tristana's been removed as well by H2k.
Xayah, Rakan are still available. Fnatic did play that yesterday. Fine laning phase, and Hylissang did find some good engages as well, especially in the late game with Broxah. So that is something we have to look at if H2k are not taking one of them. But again, you don't really want to grab just the Xayah if you're H2k's side here and not paired up with Rakan, but they might feel forced to do it if they don't want to deal with that 2v2 lane.
It's understandable. Xayah Rakan is such a dominant 2v2 lane and so strong later on in the game as well. Hylissang had a pretty good performance on that Rakan with the engages.
Exactly, and you have a Shen ulti as well right there coming in with it. So there's a lot of potential synergy for Fnatic on their side. Gotta see what AD carry HK wants to run. Caitlyn is also available, which is something we see more and more of, especially over in the LCK. But it's gonna be Vladimir. What Fnatic can do is take something like Cho'Gath, put him top lane, put the Shen down support, and you have this huge tank line and this top lane pick that can't really get punished by the Vladimir.
And then you've got huge damage dealers on the back line as well. You take a hyper carry, maybe something like a Twitch, and you're just incredibly strong. Zoe, Twitch late game with a tank front line, or even a Sivir who scales up so well as the game goes later on.
So again, Cho'Gath here would work really well for them, just a simple tank top. If you look on the side of H2k, like a lot of what they have is scaling as well. So they're not exactly looking to destroy you early on, which is what you want to do against some of these comps with Cho'Gath in it. So Fnatic are running a very, very, very hardcore teamfight comp.
Sheriff, the AD carry that everyone's been talking about, the guy that everyone says this is the up and coming, this is the best AD carry in Europe, has now got his Vayne.
I mean, if you see 3 tanks in front of you, Vayne does make a lot of sense, but we have to remember Vayne, just like with Kassadin, it takes quite some time before you're really going to be a massive carry threat in these team fights here. So both teams are actually looking to play a fairly long game, but on one side we have Zoe. And when she's in the game here, everything just changes. You get hit by one skill shot. Suddenly you're sleeping, smack, 80% of your HP is gone from one Q shot out of nowhere. You're back in base or you're just dead. I need to see if Caps can perform at the highest level with this champion, and if Caedrel on Kassadin can shut it down.
That's the big question for me. Whether Caedrel has overcome his first day nerves and is actually able to perform on the stage, or whether we'll see domination from Caps once again.
And it is also important to highlight that we have Jarvan for Santorin. He can gank in the early game. He can look towards the mid lane if he wants to. Shouldn't be too afraid of this Sejuani the first few levels.
It is an issue that we have with Zoe because of the low mobility. Sometimes she can get caught out with
you
these
can't shut her down.
On to the Summoner's Rift once again. Fnatic up against H2k. Fnatic so strong yesterday. Looked very good against Splice. And H2k just not their former selves. A revamped roster, a revitalized roster, but yet to have the performance we would like to see from H2k. And if you're Fnatic right now and you're saying, look, we got Zoe, we got Sivir, what's your game plan, Deficio? What's your plan of action here? Are you looking to gank the Zoe? Are you looking to gank the bot lane?
Well, if we follow the traditional Fnatic game plan, it is to gank top lane level 3 or level 4, and then never go top again. Start playing around the bottom side where you have actually a Shen, which is a fairly strong early laner who can force very aggressive plays. That could be a game plan here for Fnatic side, but with all these tanks, they're fine scaling into the late game. But on the other side, with Vladimir, Kassadin, Vayne, H2k are also fine scaling into the late game.
So who wins the late game, Deficio?
That comes down to skill, baby. That's going to be the quick, easy answer there.
Bit of a cop-out from you, but
I'm not going to predict who wins the late game team
slide.
fight between these two teams and all these insane late game champions. at minute 1.
Okay, I'll give you a little bit of time before you have to predict that one. I want to talk a little bit about this mid lane matchup. I know we've mentioned Zoe and Kassadin, but it's so intriguing the way they'll play into each other and also the runes that you can take on Kassadin. Presence of Mind is one that a lot of people don't know about because it's not commonly used. After you get a kill or an assist, you get, I think it's 5 to 7 seconds.
5 seconds.
5 seconds of free spells, basically. And it means you can stack up your Riftwalk as much as you want.
And that's the important one, because that ult in the late game, when it's fully stacked up as a cast and costs so much mana but deals so much damage, this allows you to kind of chase down people, burst someone in the late game teamfight, and use it just to be such a massive threat. Santorin, we talked about ganking on Jarvan early game. Look at this one. He's already mid lane.
Sleepy Bubble Trouble comes out. Actually, it's a paddle star from Caps, but the flash in. Caedrel went the other way. Looking for the kill onto Caps. Has the heal still. Will use it at the end. Paddle star once again hits onto Santorin.
Oh, I think Caedrel right there. He was okay just getting the flash and then saying, that's enough, let's gank it again. But Santorin went for the all-in, thinking they could actually take down Caps. Good use of the heal, but this is the early gank we just talked about here with the Jarvan. I like the start, and we can clearly see the game plan is try to shut down Zoe early.
It makes a lot of sense. We've seen how dominant Zoe can be in some of these matchups and how dominant Caps has been across the course of the last couple of, the last day or so. Caedrel getting pushed in a little bit by Zoe, but Caps is just going to try and get some vision to make sure he doesn't get caught by Santorin once again.
And we have to look also at bot lane with the Sivir pick here. Vayne, late on in the game, especially once she gets one item completed, can just run down Sivir and kill her 1v1 easily. But early laning phase, you have to accept that Sivir can perma-push the wave and you cannot. So it's a lot about just last hitting with the relic shields on the turret and just make sure you're not falling too far behind and then get level 6 and you can start out-trading Rekkles.
Having double relic shield just helps you so much in a lane that you expect to lose a little bit. The overheal, the double healing that you can get out as well.
So much sustain with it.
Fleet footwork as well there for the extra heal. So will be interesting to watch exactly how the lane dynamics play out and how aggressive Sheriff is willing to be into Rekkles. Widely renowned as the best AD carry in Europe, Rekkles has held that throne for a long time now alongside Sven. Like they've been against each other, but Sven's left. And now we've got these new up-and-coming AD carries in Sheriff, in Upset, in Mini Trupax, actually challenging for that throne.
Yeah, and they all have a lot of confidence. All talk a lot about how they can be the next great AD carry in Europe, and that's just great, because it makes it even more exciting to follow the path of these young rookie AD carries. Sheriff being one of them, but we also have to now look at what Broxah wants to do, because he's level 4. This typically is when Broxah likes to go up to the top lane, say hello to his good friend sOAZ, and kill the enemy top laner.
And it's something they do so well together, isn't it? Broxah just clears out his bots. Got teleport of Spell Thieves.
That's just that ability, man.
Oh, that ability. But let's quickly talk about sOAZ and Broxah because they work so well together with this 3 or 4 minute gank.
Exactly, and that's why there's such a high first blood percentage between these two guys, because they go to the same lane, they execute that first gank. Broxah is on the way towards the top side, but it's a Vladimir, Flash, and Pool. Should be hard to kill it. Broxah also therefore actually decides to switch it up.
Caedrel teleports in as well. Caps trying to land the Sleepy Bubble Trouble, but it hits a minion instead. Is something you can do. Position yourself between the minion line and Zoe to stop those Paddle Stars and Sleepy Bubble Troubles connecting.
And Caedrel is okay, just sit back. You know, hide behind the minions. Do not get CC'd early on. Do not take a ton of damage so you're forced to go back early and lose a lot of experience, because experience is always the main thing. You can actually afford to fall behind on Kassadin in just gold and minions, but not experience. You need that level 6 as quickly as possible, because then you can actually start jumping onto Zoe. If she misses her charm or her bubble, well, she can't really defend herself.
Broxah yet to go up towards the top side. Santorin has been the more active of the two junglers, and it looks like he might be coming down bottom lane for a gank here. Hylissang and Rekkles are pushed up without too much vision. Santorin is waiting in the wings, puts a standard back though, and he's gone to the Gromp. Deceived by the vision toggle there by the observers. And it seems very much like H2k are willing to step back, and it seems like it's the same from Fnatic. Both these teams are like, okay.
There is no reason to be super aggressive in this game here this early on. Like, wait for ultis. You got Feast soon for sOAZ if you actually do want to try and kill Smittyj. You need that level 6 on the Vayne, as we talked about before, to actually duel against something like a Sivir. So we are just waiting for a few levels. Right now, the top lane is looking good for Fnatic just with this counter pick, and that's why we, highlighted the Cho'Gath. The moment we saw this blind pick Vladimir, it is a tough matchup for him. He can't really kill the Cho'Gath.
Caedrel's going to jump in,
Nice
does get
damage.
Sleepy Bobber troubled though, and Caps return with the Ignite from the Spell Thief, just to put a little bit more tick down onto him.
But again, now it's important we look at the bot lane, see? Quick change right there, pace. Broxah's gang.
Here comes the taunt, Promisq trying to get underneath the turret and will escape for the time being. Broxah is still only 5, so doesn't have that Glacial Prison, but Caps is on his way down as well, and you can see H2k respect that. Looks like it's going to be first turret of the game, probably going down in the bot lane.
And this teleport being on cooldown is pretty big. Caedrel can't really follow at the moment, so Caps can push the lane, then walk down to bottom side, allow Rekkles to deal damage to this turret. If Fnatic, they know this Vayne can't really push back, so they're using it to the full potential here.
Promisq gets tagged up, but Samperside means the flash taunt. The rest of Fnatic perhaps not on the same wavelength. Promisq has to flash away. Heal is available and will be used to heal him. sOAZ goes on to Santorin, but
That was aggressive.
Santorin gets away. sOAZ is aggressive. That's what he likes to do. He saved his blue buff.
Very
That's
unnecessary.
the important thing, Deficio.
Very unnecessary, but I like it, I like it. Rekkles will get this bot lane tower down, and
I just want to come back to how important Rekkles' keystone is here. He took Unsealed Spell, but teleports into the lane with a BF sword to only the Relic Shield of Sheriff, and that just allows them to have this extra pressure in the lane.
baited by not having the runes early on. Rekkles, though, using that spellbook and the teleport, as you just highlighted, very effectively here. Now you can just keep pushing. Go for the next lane here if you're Rekkles. Top lane is available. Vladimir, again, he can only really kill the wave if he's standing in the middle of it. Don't allow him to do that. Just keep pushing in, keep hitting these turrets. The Zoe can still roam to top side. TP is still on cooldown from Caedrel's side, so Fnatic can keep up the tempo.
And by getting turrets, you accelerate your scaling, you get more gold onto your carries. You can see a 20 CS differential between Rekkles and Sheriff. There's 15 to 20 CS in the top lane as well, and Fnatic have extended 1,500 gold lead just by pushing. Smittyj forced to use Hemoplay to clear out the way.
And life just sucks if you're Vayne and you sit on your Relic Shield and then boots at 8 minutes. Like,
Attack speed boots them.
yeah, you got some attack speed.
Yeah, let's go.
Congratulations, that's about it. You know, there's nothing Sheriff can do to stop this from happening. Rekkles just only focused on killing turrets. He doesn't want to hit any champions at the moment. Just push, 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 push. Working super well for Fnatic at the moment. sOAZ up here with Rekkles. Smittyj, nothing he can do.
Nothing at all. Fnatic going to look for the second turret. Only 9 minutes into this game. This is clean and quick play from Fnatic. Hylissang jumping in onto Smittyj there. It was a Hex flash on towards him. And, I didn't realize Hylissang had taken that, but Hex flash obviously good on Shen, because if you come from the shadows, if you jump out as a ninja from the dark, get torn off.
People may think it was the taunt and they're like, taunt's on cooldown. Don't worry, guys. I'm like, wait a minute.
Cool.
I actually normally like it more on things like Alistar. He's doing it again! What a beast! What a beast!
One of my favorite things to do is play Alistar and just flash randomly in lane with the Hex flash. But
see, that's what I like it a lot more on Alistar, because then you use it over the wall and you like headbutt someone back.
Yeah.
With Shen, you use it over the wall, and then I guess you can taunt them. So it makes sense if you're roaming a lot and you're kind of moving around where people don't see you and you surprise them, like Hylissang's been trying to do. Sadly for him, Smittyj was on the tower. So.
But that's the inventiveness we expected to see with Runes Reforged. That's the inventiveness we expected to see from the EU LCS. Teams experimenting, using these runes in different ways, and working out exactly the optimal strategy
again.
for them.
Now he's just taunting them, like every single time.
It's a really bad ninja as well, because it's just like, hello, I'm here.
Oh, man.
Only 10 minutes into the game here, though, Deficio, and already 2 towers for Fnatic and pressure in that top lane. They are pulling H2k around this map.
And again, just from the draft, that pushing bot lane, even better because of the teleport Rekkles could pick with Spellbook, that pushing top lane with the Cho'Gath, that pushing mid lane with the Zoe. All the lanes just constantly applying pressure to H2k, and as we kept talking about, like, H2k just wants to scale. They need levels. They needed these ultis very quickly, but Fnatic had already killed the bot lane tower before Sheriff even hit level 6.
Caps has stolen away a teleport here, so we'll be looking to back away and use that back into the lane. It's one of the reasons we don't expect Zoe to get through. You can talk about her damage from Paddlestar, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble as well is incredibly impactful, but the fact that sometimes you just get a free teleport back into the lane, or a free ignite.
Hey, what about double TP to that mid lane? Because that mid lane tower is the last outer turret.
It's great stuff from Fnatic, grouping up as 4 as they try and push down the mid lane turrets. Santorin and Caedrel will try and defend, and Promisq's here as well.
This is so cool to watch, man. Fnatic are playing so fast in this game here, really utilizing all the different runes you can get, all the different summoner spells with the spellbook. And H2k, who is it? Man, Hylissang. He needs to get a kill with this one
He
soon.
could just walk round. Like they had vision in the bush. There was someone standing there.
You could hex flash over the wall.
Just like me in my solo queue games. Fnatic trying to group up here. Put a belt on Caps. Let's see if he goes for the engage instead. Just get the tower. And this
11 minutes in.
It's a new Fnatic as well, Deficio. Look at how clean it is. Look at how much macro play they have at the moment.
I actually wonder how fast we normally see teams kill all 3 outer turrets when they're ahead. 11 minutes is so quick in this game here. H2k, you've not even completed 1 item yet, and all the outer turrets are gone.
And it just opens up the map even more for
Sheriff
Fnatic.
has 2 daggers. That's it.
Looks like Hylissang might even be soloing this Rift Herald.
Ah, his flash is ready now.
Oh no!
Oh, use the flash, Hylissang. I want to see the hex flash.
Or Hex Flash shenanigans, but
I guess we are now actually watching a support soloing Rift Herald.
exactly at
Wait.
12
Another
minutes.
support is coming.
Oh, here we go. Support or combat. Promisq Q.
Oh, he
finds
finds him.
Hylissang. Here we go. Does he
Promisq
have
Q.
flash? Winter's Bite.
At first he was confused.
He
Why
was
is Hylissang
petrified.
there? Nice.
Thank you. Up next, G2 versus Rocket. Might be good. I just want to quickly, as we have a little bit of downtime here, guys, remember to send in your big plays from this and the rest of the games of the week. Use the hashtag EUCLCS.
Do not pick Hylissang. Hex flashing over walls.
That's all you can send in. That's all you can send in. Just every hex flash you see, clip it, send it to me. I don't care. I'll watch them all. Check out the plays in the EU LCS post-game lobby as well at the end of the day. It's going to be a barnstormer. I'm expecting a montage of hex flashes if we can get them.
I just want to see him kill someone, like, because of it.
Yes, that would be the optimal strategy. And now, Rift Herald for Fnatic. I was going to ask you this a little bit earlier, Deficio.
Yes.
You said Fnatic are doing an incredible job with the runes. They're playing a lot quicker.
And I think they're going to go Rift Herald next.
I'm waiting.
There you go, pretty good.
Good call.
I know.
That's why you get paid the big bucks,
I
Deficio.
don't know. I'm seeing the game, 10 seconds faster than everyone else.
Hemoplate used in the bottom lane. Santorin is here as well, and so is going for the chase. The Stand United come in. Smittyj survives, and the Hemoplate heals them back up. Here comes the Cataclysm. Smittyj into the Sanguine Pool. sOAZ is low. Hylissang with the taunt, but here comes Caedrel from the side. Caps is on his way as well. Looking for sOAZ. Oh, the Sleepy Bubble Drop will hit onto Caedrel. Caps jumps in. Santorin gets taken low. Will he be able to survive? He flashes away as well. H2k on the defensive. Caps jumps in, has a Zhonya's, and now a flash, and now another flash. Who gives the monkeys about summoner spells? He's got them all.
And they got Rift Herald in the mid lane as well. Promisq will kill that one. No kills in the bot lane, sadly, but we get to see what this Zoe can do because H2k not been able to shut down Caps in the early game. 142 CS, 3 turrets, as well as a lot of extra gold for him. And we just saw some of the damage already.
That we did. What I was going to ask you before we went to a little bit of a tangent there, did Fnatic actually sacrifice anything by going for this earlier playstyle, for these earlier runes? Is there anything that they're giving up in the late game that might cost them later on?
I mean, you can argue, not having fleet footwork in the late game could be annoying for Rekkles, lacking a little bit of lifesteal in that way, but he can still build a lifesteal item when we get to 45er. And then it's okay for him. So you always give up something, but I think the value of having this early teleport to just push down the lane so effectively makes up for it.
Can you steal a Hex Flash?
I'm going to say I've not seen that.
I don't think you can,
so I'm gonna
but
say
that would
no.
be an incredible interaction if you could. Caps showing us he has some mastery of this champion.
He can kill minions.
Yep, clears out the way.
There
Good
we
job
go.
by him. But across the board, Fnatic now, a 3,000 gold lead, 3 turrets to nil, an Ocean Drake in their back pocket, and they haven't needed a kill to do it, Deficio. Smittyj, we're now starting to see the first completed items on H2k. You've got the Frost Queen's Claim completed on Smittyj. You've got the Rod of Ages completed on Caedrel, and the Static Shift burst.
There we go. Sheriff is like, I'm so tired of getting pushed in all the time.
More blocks, man!
I'm going to get a Static Shift and start pushing the wave back. Bot lane sOAZ just keeps trading against Smittyj.
Frost Queen's Claim for the slow. There's a Hemoplague as well, and Smittyj will trade with the Tide of Blood, but that's an ult for no ult. sOAZ, this Cho'Gath into Vladimir matchup is going incredibly well for sOAZ.
Now still though with the Frost Queens here for Vladimir, it is very cool now that it is fully completed that he gets this little mini Storm Raiders when he actually procs it, 50% movement speed. It's just for a second, but you have multiple procs you can use. So it gives a lot of extra mobility for him. You can also switch to Ghost in a late game fight. So Vladimir is going to be very, very important to look at in the late game team fights because he's so good now at getting to the backline with all that extra mobility he gets with the Frost Queens and whatever summoner spell he decides to take next to the Flash. But for now, he just can't really kill the Cho'Gath, so he's forced to just sit and farm in his lane and can't do much.
Feels like Fnatic have just won most of the lanes. There's the silence. The stun comes in with the Glacial Prism as well, but there's the Sanguine Pool. Fnatic trying to go in for the chase, and the rest of H2k are going to react. The Rupture comes out. Caedrel jumps in, looking for sOAZ. Cataclysm, Broxah's low. Here comes the second jump in from Caedrel. Torn it up as well, and Fnatic will be able to get them away. Sleepy Bubble connected. Caedrel just about survives, and Rekkles can't quite get the bounces. But Caps
didn't hit that one.
Puts a minion to sleep.
Jumps over, didn't manage to snipe anyone right there. Santorin was actually asleep during the fight, but Caps had already fired his Q in another direction. Once again, no kills for Fnatic, but 4 turrets down, 16 minutes in.
Should be 5 in a minute as well. Actually, H2k should be able to defend this bot one for the time being. I want to bring our focus back towards Caps as well if this fight doesn't erupt, which is going to do the stand unite. The taunt coming out, and there's first blood.
They got a kill.
Fnatic got a kill, a paddling from Caps, and the first blood goes over to Broxah.
So clean at the moment. They're not actually taking any chances with these trades because they're always all 5 members around. They have so much CC, and then this long-range damage from Zoe coming in. Let's see, re-engage.
Rekkles with the stopwatch. He stopped time, he tries to jump out. Here comes the re-engage with the Hemoplague. Sheriff flashes forward, he gets one. 80 on 80, and he gets the win. Broxah flashes away from the Condemn. Sleepy Bubble Trouble landed onto the Vayne as well, but Caedrel isn't done yet. He wants Caps, who still pretty darn healthy in this fight. So H2k will answer back with a kill of their own.
A good response here, at least, from H2k. They needed something.
Yes.
Right there. They went all in for the engage. Sadly, only gets the 1 kill. They desperately want more because they're down 4k gold this early on. 2 items will soon be completed on the carries on Fnatic side. sOAZ is overextended, guys. If you look at the minimap, you can see 4 Fnatic members really far away from sOAZ.
Hasn't got teleport either, so can he pull off a sOAZ sneaky escape?
He should just get CC'd by the Braum now.
Away. Here comes the second concussive blows, looking for the stun off it. There we go, Santorin coming in for the chase as well. sOAZ tries to turn it around, but Sheriff comes in, and that will be another kill for H2k.
Well, he got the top lane tower, so...
Yeah, 100% worth.
Yeah.
5 towers to nil. 4,000 gold ahead at the 18-minute mark. Like, H2k up down to their inhibitor turrets before 20 minutes.
All right, let's see the re-engage here. Santorin all in. Smittyj as well, getting with a nice ulti on towards the backline after Rekkles came out of that little hourglass. Sheriff tries to knock Broxah into the wall, but sadly for him, because Broxah flashes over, he actually just helps him get towards the blast cone. Can't really fault Sheriff for that move though, because if he actually gets the stun, that's another kill.
And although Fnatic have had the superior macro and they've been able to get all of these turrets, across the board CS numbers are actually relatively even. You know, you've got a 20 CS lead for Caps in the mid lane, which isn't gargantuan. You've got about 15 in the AD carry role. It's even in the top lane
It
as well.
adds up though to suddenly being a pretty large CS lead overall for Fnatic. And as we see now, Leandris and Morello on the Caps' side. Caedrel is trying to get towards that second item, but it's still going to take some time. And Fnatic can start looking towards Infernal Drake in a minute, then Baron is spawning soon. And one thing about Zoe as well that's so annoying is when you are trying to stop a team from starting Baron, you're constantly exposing yourself near walls in the jungle, and then suddenly you get hit by that bubble really far away. Zoe's gonna sit there and shoot it. It lands onto you, and the enemy team just kills you instantly, and suddenly they get Baron. And she's so amazing at these sieges around objectives.
Anytime there's a choke point, she's incredibly effective. Look at the vision control though for H2k. That red side jungle is littered with wards. They have a lot of awareness of anything that Fnatic do decide to do around here.
I like the crowd there. I saw the blue buff got a little messed up, and they're like, ooh. Didn't really matter though. No one stole it at least.
It would have been very impressive if H2k had somehow got in a position to steal that blue buff at this point in the game. They've yet to take a turret.
They could have put a ward down there and TP'd.
This is why I don't play solo queue with you anymore, Deficio.
I only play Garen at the moment.
That as well is why I don't play solo queue.
I lose a lot. I lose a lot.
Yes, you do. But at least you spin while you're doing it. Infernal Drake for Fnatic. Second dragon of the game. They've got an Ocean and an Infernal under their belts and a 4,000 gold lead, and they are looking mighty fine right now.
Yeah, that was that Infernal Drake we just talked about. Now, there is the outer turret in the bottom lane. Fnatic can aim towards if they want to try and siege down for the last outer turret, or just start setting up vision around the Baron and at least force H2k to walk into their own jungle and then try and land that CC from Caps' side. Pop the Sivir ulti right after, and that should be a fairly easy kill for them. There's so much single target burst on Fnatic's side.
You've just got this accelerated scaling from them as well. 20 minutes in, 2 items on your main carries. Your tanks are getting tanky, and H2k aren't in a position to respond. However, they have looked like a more cohesive team this game, which is something we couldn't say for them yesterday.
Yeah, they've been under so much pressure from a Fnatic strategy that was so hard to deal with when you have Vayne and Kassadin, two champions that cannot stop early pushes at all. So with the H2k draft, they put themselves in a very tough spot in the early game. Fnatic punished it, but now the fact it's only 4k in the lead, H2k are still in this game. Like, can they get that second item completed before the next fight? If they can actually outplay Fnatic there, suddenly it looks really good, but it's on Fnatic to make a mistake, I feel like.
It's also on Fnatic to make the next play as well. They have to do something proactive at some point. Do you look for that bot lane turret? Do you look for the Baron control that we were talking about as well? Seems to be where they're grouping up at the moment. Hylissang trying to get on towards Santorin, but can't quite make the connection.
And the thing is, when you have Cho'Gath, you can always just go Baron, because you have to feast. Cho'Gath can even tank the Baron for himself, and it just means for H2k they always have to stay around. And we're just kind of waiting now to see if Fnatic's bottom lane here will overextend. They did this yesterday where they just rushed forward in the top side, or on the top side.
I think Broxah spotted them out with the Oracle's alteration red thing. The red silhouettes.
The red
silhouette,
thingy.
that's what they're called, the red silhouettes. But Fnatic will group up as 4 and push in here. There's always a threat of caps on the side. Can Portal jump towards you and get a Sleepy Bubble Trouble down as well?
Alright, good play from Fnatic, killing all these wards here from H2k side. They can just go bot lane, grab that last outer turret, get a bit more gold. Caedrel is still sitting here being like, please guys, I just want to farm.
He's still at 212 CS. He's doing an okay job. Same for Sheriff, who's at 210, but Fnatic are just pushing them in, denying them any jungle, making sure they can't get any of that extra gold, and now they have a 5,000 gold lead, and they're only looking to extend that further.
As long as H2k do not lose an inhib turret or the Baron, they can keep stalling. Once again though, horrible wave clear. Makes it even harder to keep stalling. You kind of have to fight your way out. Sheriff will soon have the IH completed. Caedrel, Lichbane, it's getting close.
Yeah. You got Smittyj as well with the Andres building up towards the zone.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, Smittyj is pretty strong at this point if he actually gets into the backline of Fnatic. But again, Fnatic can keep H2k so far away from them just by using Zoe alone.
And I want to ask a bit of a more macro sense question here, Deficio. A bit of a wider picture question. A lot of the talk about Fnatic when they came into this year was, will it be the same Fnatic? Will they come out strong, but will they be playing the same style? Rekkles centered, you know, trying to accelerate him, not really playing around caps. Watching this game, watching yesterday's game, do you feel like this is a new Fnatic to you? Or do you feel like it's kind of the same thing rehashed and is only strong because they've got 4 of the strong members on their team?
I mean, it's definitely not just strong because they kept 4 members, but it is very much what we saw last split. We get the bubble landing now.
Caps missed the paddle star though.
He did. Warning shot right there. But in general, I think with this Fnatic lineup with Hylissang, it's more of what we saw last split, but it might just be even better. Because I think with Hylissang, you have a support who's a bit more aggressive and not afraid at all of just constantly forcing a fight. So if you actually are winning the early game like we see here, Hylissang should be able to find some openings that most other supports probably won't look for. Which is also why sometimes Hylissang is too aggressive and dies, because he likes to gamble a lot. In this game here though, Fnatic, after you kill all the outer turrets, if you're not strong enough to just start the Baron instantly, you're kind of forced to delay the game a little bit. Seeing as the enemy team in a professional game is not dumb enough to just kind of walk out and, you know, die.
Well, they have started the Baron now. Teleport coming in from Caedrel as well, looking for the flank down towards the bottom side. Fnatic pop the on the hunt, chasing into H2k. Caps, Sleepy Bubble Trouble lands, they're going to chase it. There's the flash away, but Promisq might be going to the Promised Land. Hema playing in from the side, the engage is good here from Santorin on towards that backline, and Caedrel's hit still. They get Rekkles, and H2k somehow survive. They've lost 1, now they're looking for a little bit more. Caedrel gets the presence of mind to jump on towards Broxah, and Sheriff gets another. Fnatic went for the engage, but they fall apart in the hands of H2k.
Fnatic, they got greedy right there, you know, they saw the support. Veteran feeling very happy at the moment, but they saw that Promisq got hit by that bubble, and they're like, let's just go all in for him. And suddenly, Smittyj was behind him, Santorin as well. Fnatic, too greedy with that fight here, punished. 2 items completed on the side of H2k. We kept talking about it. Get Vayne on 2 items, get Kassadin on 2 items. Well, they're sitting on 2 items right now. They just want to fight. They just took the Baron. You remember how you asked about same Fnatic as last split? We did see this sometimes last split as well. It's on Promisq. He falls asleep. All of Fnatic are calling, kill the support, and then suddenly Vladimir shows up, Caedrel shows up as well, and when there's no front line to protect Rekkles and Caps, well, they will just die. Great team fight from H2k, and greedy play from Fnatic.
That's exactly what it was. It was greed. They saw a hero, they wanted to kill a hero, and they just couldn't do it. And you have to give credit to H2k. That flank, catching out Caps, catching out Rekkles, get the Cataclysm down. It was superb stuff by them. H2k back in this game. They are still 1,500 gold behind. Fnatic still have that buffer because they're 6 turrets to 0 up. But H2k now, they can sense the late game. They can sense these, 3-4 item builds on the Kassadin on the Vayne.
Yeah, momentum just swung in their favor. Like, huge confidence boost as well. The fact you don't have to deal with the enemy team getting Baron, and you're sitting with Kassadin Vayne that can't defend against it. You lose all your inhib turrets as well. Like, that's gone now. For a long time in this game, H2k just bought themselves 5-6 more minutes to farm. We're talking 3 items, soon 4 items on these carries for potential next big fight. And then H2k can just keep winning team fights.
I think a big question becomes as well, can the Zoe deal with the Kassadin later on? Because
well, can't deal with this one.
Here's the Hemo Plague, there's the Cataclysm, the Glacial Prism does not connect, and Caps will have to flash away. H2k go for the engage. And they look for the turret here as well. Caedrel's in the side lane splitting.
Yeah, sOAZ is on the way from the bottom lane. He was just pushing that one. Caedrel will get that top lane tower. More gold now for H2k.
It's pulling Fnatic around the map. This is doing to Fnatic what they did to H2k earlier on. They're saying we'll start a fight over here and we'll have someone splitting. We'll have someone getting a tower. That's exactly what H2k do. They get themselves back even on gold. And look at how quickly this has swung away from Fnatic.
Oh, this game just got really exciting. I love the early game. I gotta say that. A lot of credit to Fnatic for how they played early on. I love the use of Spellbook from these different champions in the game we have right now. But we also gotta give credit to H2k for then seeing Fnatic overextend. Caedrel shows up big time. Smittyj on this Vladimir. 2-0-3 at the moment. 3 full completed items. Almost level 16. Caedrel just got level 16 now. Huge spike for him.
Another bit of credit I think we need to give H2k is the fact they didn't die a lot in the early game at all. They were willing to give up towers without actually overextending, without actually giving up kills alongside it. You look at it, they've only had 2 deaths throughout the entire game, and that's why the scores are so even at the moment. Usually, they would be a lot further behind, but now they can come straight back into this game and be on level pegging with Fnatic.
And yeah, and they're in a really good spot now to win another fight. But funny enough, if we go full late game with Sivir, then suddenly Fnatic have a lot of ways to actually start winning fights back. It still comes down to skill between these teams. Big one.
Caps jumps in, Caedrel takes a lot of damage, but here's the Hemo Plague. sOAZ off towards the side as well. Glacial Prism hits on towards that front line, and that is Santorin down. But Sheriff is looking to pop off as he opens up hell upon sOAZ.
Oh, another one.
Drowsy. The sleep comes out. Is Rekkles going to go for this? H2k can disengage. The blast goes there, and they just jump across the wall.
1 kill from Fnatic, but H2k do get to step away. Still alive here. Yes, they didn't get a whole lot with the Baron buff for themselves, but that doesn't matter because all they needed was just more time. Gold is even. That's the most important thing. Caedrel started that fight just by hitting swords with good bubble from Caps, and we see some of the damage that Zoe can deal with the combo. Big fight happening, and this is the thing about Fnatic's comp with Cho'Gath is the first target in that front line they can kill every time because of Feast. But then, if that's not Sheriff, that's not Smittyj or Caedrel, you have to deal with these 3 insane late game carries all of a sudden, and you don't have to feast anymore.
Look at that damage from Caps. It's like, that's a paddling and a half. He's now got a Locket of the Iron Solari, which he will use just to tank up that minion wave. But this is where we start to see if Fnatic can come back from a deficit. They're only ever so slightly behind. It's just come back from a knock.
Still a deficit, you weren't correct in your
Come back from a knock. Come back from taking a punch, from getting knocked down onto the mat. Because against Splice, it was pretty even. They had one mid-game portion which didn't really go in their favor. That seems to have repeated itself here today, Deficio.
Exactly, and I think with H2k's comp here in the late game, could get even worse. But let's see what happens here. Santorin will just walk away from this one. Smittyj on the bottom side as well, staying safe. H2k feeling a lot more in control compared to much early on.
It's a good Baron power play for them as well, getting a 4,000 gold, well, 3,700.
And that was the most important thing. It's not about getting a 7k Baron power play where you're now massively far ahead of Fnatic. It's just catching up to Fnatic, and everything that happened in the early game is now gone. It's completely removed. Ooh, that one hit.
Does. Paddlestar comes out as well, but the Riftwalk was used. It jumps on towards Santorin. Caps can dash around quite a lot. It's interesting that Zoe is able to be in so many places at once, but has such low mobility. Because it seems deceptive as she jumps forward towards you to think this champion doesn't actually have the ability to, you know, dodge around that much.
But because, again, her ulti means she always will jump back to where she obviously originally was placed, it makes it very hard to use in team fights. When the fight is actually on and there's a lot of carries like a Kassadin and a Ghost Vladimir, because that mobility from your ulti is not really going to help you then. You can't really escape if they're already onto you. So it's about Fnatic protecting Caps and Rekkles with the big front line of sOAZ, Broxah, Hylissang, and then try and kill that first target with the Feast. If that doesn't happen, then Sheriff and the rest of H2k can win the fight. Let's see what happens here. That's the first target.
It's gonna land.
He's dead.
You just predicted it, Deficio.
I know,
You knew
it's
exactly
so
what was
difficult
gonna
to predict
happen.
as well when there's a Cho'Gath.
It's good stuff from Fnatic. They catch out Santorin once again. They're looking to close towards this inhibitor tower. Caedrel is just on his way back. The Drowsy's going to land, but Promisq should be able to block up any Paddle Star that comes out. Smittyj does as well from the side. Rekkles tower's down to about half HP now as Fnatic wait for the next wave, but it's a long, long way away. Caedrel jumps in, gets taunted straight away, and they're going to try and get on towards Caedrel, but they can't do it. There's the Hema Plague as well. Smittyj trying to get on towards that backline if he can. Shevis popped the final hour, and he's looking to take down sOAZ. A jump in, a sleep, but the Zhonya's that's now not in the best of shapes as here comes out the Glacial Fissure. Sheriff Hylissang is just going to sacrifice himself. He is down to dust, and H2k once again win a fray.
I love that player from H2k. They know they can't just defend due to not having any wave clear, so they need to be aggressive. Caedrel jumped in, and while it was actually a good taunt from Hylissang, there was no follow-up silence coming in from sOAZ. I don't think he was in position to do that, meaning Caedrel could still get back across the wall, and suddenly Smittyj saw a chance to engage here. And H2k, whenever Fnatic are not able to sit with the 3 tanks in front and kill the big tank, then Sheriff and the rest of the carries will kill Fnatic.
H2k are going to get the second Baron of the game after being miles behind in the early game. Remember, at 18 minutes, they only had 1 outer turret remaining. Now they get their second Baron. They have a 2,000 gold lead, and H2k are making a huge comeback in this game.
So let's see here again, because Hylissang wants to taunt Caedrel and then have follow-up CC or a silence. But sOAZ was not in range to do it, and he didn't have flash when this happened. So it means Caedrel gets out, Smittyj sees a chance to now go in. Fnatic can't really CC any target and kill them, and that means free time for the Vayne. 1 kill, 2 kills.
It's great stuff for H2k. They're playing around the edges of this team fight incredibly effectively, and look at that damage from Sheriff and compare it to that damage from Rekkles. That is a monumental disparity.
And that fight looked very easy for H2k, but it's still very difficult to play this draft here. It requires a lot of coordination from them because they have so many squishy members. If you do step forward and get CC'd, you might just die instantly. There's a 4-item Sivir.
Oh!
But that can also happen, by the way.
Oh!
Yeah, that's why Zoe is so annoying.
That's just not right, Deficio.
It's unfair almost.
It shouldn't exist. Anyway, Fnatic going to try and push in towards this inhibitor tower. I did not expect Smittyj to die there. He still had flash, he still had Zhonya's. Didn't expect it as well, you have to think. But H2k are showing us why these rookies are so highly rated across the rest of Europe. Caedrel and Sheriff doing an incredible job, yet to die each one of them this game. And Smittyj, Santorin, and Promisq there as well to try and back it up.
Worst thing here for Smittyj is I think he was not looking at his own character. He was looking at something else. So he did not see the Caps actually ran forward, jumped over the wall. Because Smittyj, of course, could have used, Ult or flash or whatever.
Ball, yeah.
He was looking at something else. And then he just dies.
And it's not very common that you have skill shots that can hit you from this far away.
Or just how fast suddenly Zoe jumps over that wall, kills you, and then jumps back.
Can be incredibly
This game is so
impactful
good,
in the
man.
right
It's
hands.
so exciting.
Incredible.
Great early game into a great comeback now from H2k. And it's still so even in these fights here. It really comes down to the teamfighting skill of these teams.
And you have to look at Fnatic and say they've got the teamfighting experience. You know, you've got no rookies on this team.
And they got the simple comp to play in terms of teamfighting, which is standard tanks and carries. Where on H2k side, it's just so many different carries here. 2 of them wants to, or 3 of them with Jarvan, Vladimir and Kassadin, they want to dive the back line. Sheriff wants to sit and just hit whoever's right in front of him and kill the tank first. But it just means it's so hard for Fnatic to play against it because they have to look at the flanks all the time. They have to respect Vladimir diving in. They have to also respect that Sheriff can kill them. Here's one of the small flanks.
Caedrel's going to jump on towards Broxah. Sleepy Bubble Trouble did connect, and Caedrel takes a quick nap in the middle of a fight, but H2k unable to find the full engage that they want. Sleep. Paddle Star didn't quite get close enough.
Promisq and his shield is going to be important whenever Caps lands a bubble first into then a huge nuke with his Q. If Promisq can block that every single time, he will keep his carries safe. Here's another one. Didn't hit.
we are getting to a point as well where Rekkles really comes online in these fights. Drowsy on towards Smittyj, off towards the top side. sOAZ looking for the knock-up. There's the stun, there's the silence, there's the numb. Goodbye, Smittyj.
And it's whenever you are around the jungle with these walls here, that bubble just gets extra range and you don't think it's going to hit you, then out of nowhere you get suddenly CC'd. Great follow-up this time, because we have to remember, with that silence and knock-up from sOAZ, you can chain the CC very effectively. Taunt from Hylissang is another one. Broxah's ulti, if you get hit by bubble, expect to get hit by 2 or 3 other things, and you're probably going to die.
And it's part of why we think H2k's comp is so difficult to play, because a lot of what they're trying to do is flank play. So you're trying to come in from the sides with the with Caedrel on the Kassadin, with the Vladimir and with the Jarvan, and it means that you're positioning next to walls, next to these areas where you're not quite sure if you're going to get caught out by a sleepy bubble drop.
So look at the range here again when Caps hits this one. Smittyj, if he sees it early on, he can just pull and he won't get hit, but you don't always pay attention to where these bubbles can come flying from, and one tiny mistake, which it normally is, getting hit by one skill shot tends to be just a small mistake, but against Zoe, it means you die.
Negative Baron power play there for H2k, but they are just still trying to scale up. 4 items on Sheriff, 4 items on Caedrel. On the other side of affairs, though, Caps is at that 4-item spike, as is Rekkles. We are looking at basically late-game compositions here, Deficio, and I can sense you're anxious for the next team fight.
I just want to see more fights, man.
Plays.
It's so fun to watch these two teams here fight against each other. Who can be the big carry? Sheriff, he's so young. He's a rookie coming into the LCS, playing against Fnatic on this big stage here. And now people are looking at him and saying, you need to carry this game. You're playing this Vayne here. You got 4 items. I won't miss. Every single bubble is also pretty damn interesting. Hits, kill, Baron, misses, jump to Zoe, kill her, win the game.
Zoe's like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. At the moment, Caps is sitting on an exhaust, will instead exchange that for an ignite, which a friendly minion left for him. Imagine if minions could use summoner spells. That would be incredible, just randomly,
randomly.
Ignited by a minion in lane, smited by a minion in lane. That would be great fun. Promisq did go to sleep for a moment. Fnatic just trying to clear out some vision around the Baron. It's a minute and a half before it's up. Elder Dragon as well in just a minute's time. Looks like H2k are going to put Caedrel into a side lane just to answer some of the split push threat from sOAZ.
We'll have to see. Smittyj had some good team fights, but also been caught twice where he actually died. One where he was looking at something else and Caps killed him. The other one where he got hit by that bubble while trying to kill a ward, I believe it was. Cost his team at least a little bit of momentum in this game, but it's still dead even in gold. Caedrel and the rest of H2k around that Elder Drake. They don't really have a lot of elemental drakes under their belt to buff up a potential Drake buff, but you take it anyway.
Yeah, you take it so you can get it away from Fnatic as well, to a degree. They need a little bit more vision. Only 2 control wards sitting in their inventories at the moment, whereas Fnatic have 4.
GA for Sheriff right here, trying to make it a little bit harder to take him down. Caps, then jump in, and yeah, that's a lot of damage in return. Another fight.
H2k fighting on towards sOAZ. Good double top from Hylissang. He's in that one. Through there as well. Smittyj getting a Hemo plague off, and now Sheriff's going to try and open up the big guns from the side. Hylissang has been caught. Another taunt from him and the shield, but Smittyj will take him down. And H2k, unperturbed, continue the push in the mid lane.
Right there, Fnatic did not manage to lock down one target and just burst him down. sOAZ's feast is still ready. H2k using their mobility, dancing in and out of the fights here.
What are H2k going to do? Because Drake is up and Baron's up 2. sOAZ has teleport.
Yeah, he's going for it.
There.
Tipping in, but look at H2k. They're ready for this one. They're calling. Okay, we know you can go Baron. So 3 members are already around it. They actually abandoned this Elder Drake to stop Fnatic.
They want to come up and try and
fight
this one out. Smittyj gets into the sanguine pool though. Caedrel's going to jump in onto Caps. Can't quite kill him. Uses the Zhonya's as well. Smittyj silence. Here comes Sheriff. And he is hunting him some outlaws. Sheriff gets 1. GA pop. Promisq there. Trying to catch out sOAZ. They get on towards Broxah, but they don't quite have the damage. Sheriff still alive. sOAZ eventually takes him down. Smittyj getting chased up towards the side as well. And now it's sOAZ and Caps trying to play this game for Fnatic, but Caedrel's going to TP in. They will want to take down the Cho'Gath if they can get him. Another good rupture will knock up a couple, but eventually sOAZ will fall, and H2k win the fight 2-1.
H2k going straight towards the Baron right here, Caedrel. They jump into the mid lane and see if he can find Caps, but he had already left the mid lane. Baron being started here, Fnatic are not trying to contest it. They realize they lost the fight. Sheriff with that huge stun onto Rekkles.
Is Sheriff a better AD carry than Rekkles? a question we'll have to look at after this game, because at the moment, seems to be more impactful. It is a different type of AD carry. Baron goes across towards H2k, but let's look at this fight once again.
And these crazy fights here where it's not really coordinated, where it's not tanks in the front and carries in the back, they're not good for Fnatic, because it's so hard for them to stop Caedrel and Sheriff. They're coming from different flanks. Look at this here. Rekkles, suddenly he just sees there's a Vayne right in front of him. He gets knocked into the wall. He gets taken down. And while they do kill Sheriff with the GA, and sOAZ can actually kill him after, they've still lost the fight already, because Caedrel, left alive with TP, can get back in. Fnatic wants the most standard, boring fights in the world, and H2k wants these crazy fights where everyone is coming from different angles, and you can't just focus down one member, and it's happening at the moment. H2k are getting these crazy fights.
And the level of coordination from H2k is absolutely impeccable. So many people...
Hylissang got to step up his game. What is that? 0 damage.
So many people doubted them coming into today. They were like, oh, Fnatic going to win this one. It's not going to be an exciting game. H2k just aren't going to be able to match up against the Fnatic Juggernaut. And it looked like that at the start, but now H2k, they've worked it out. They've downloaded Fnatic. They understand exactly how they want to play.
Look at Caedrel. He's actually hiding down here, just at the bottom of the screen. Oh, Fnatic, that's a Kassadin you're chasing.
Oh, they will get the slow on towards him, but the Riftwalk comes away. Caedrel will be able to back with the Baron buff. Elder Dragon once started. Now Caedrel, no TP, of course, so can't join this fight straight away. Fnatic can try and force some vision control, at least, in the river.
But Broxah used that ulti. See what happens here. Caps trying once again to find the target.
H2k is still keeping this one out good. It's down to 6,000. There's a ultimate from
Fnatic are split up right now.
sOAZ just going to try and walk in, gets the Rupture down, but there goes the Elder Drake, and here goes sOAZ down to about half HP as H2k look for the chase. Have they overextended the stun into the wall? That is a dead Cho'Gath, and H2k get a kill, and the Elder Drake, and the Baron.
Yeah, right there. Mixed calls from Fnatic. Half the members had gone back to the lanes, and the other half was staying around the Elder Drake. sOAZ tried to steal it with just a little knock-up, and then he ends up obviously getting caught out. Fnatic at the moment, they don't really know what to do against this draft from H2k.
What a turnaround in this game. H2k were on the ropes for the first 25 minutes, but now they are knocking on the door of Fnatic and they jump all the way into the base. So take down the inhibitor tower. They're looking for the inhibitor as well. 11 kills, 7 up. They are now 5,000 gold ahead as well. And H2k are looking to end this one. They don't care that you're the kings. They don't care about how much legacy you have. H2k are coming to the party. Smittyj doing a huge amount of damage on that backline. Caedrel there as well. They're cleaning it up. They're going to take down the Nexus towers, and Fnatic may falter on the second day of the EU LCS because H2k want to close this one out. Sheriff still on the Nexus tower. Fnatic going to try and turn it back around. It's up to Caps. Can't get onto Caedrel. The Nexus is going to fall, and H2k take the win over Fnatic.
What a turnaround in this game. They lost all 3 outer turrets at 11 minutes. Every single lane got pushed in. Every single player was behind. Fnatic, they were controlling the game, and when they were about to play around Baron, they got greedy, and they got punished by this H2k lineup. They wanted 2 to 3 items on the Vayne, on the Kassadin, on the Vladimir. They got it, then they got the team fight they needed, they got the first Baron. They were right back in the game, and they were still very back and forth. But they actually managed to find the correct, crazy team fights, flanks from everywhere. And Fnatic's composition that wanted the slow and simple fights didn't get any in the late game.
What a performance from H2k. After that 20-minute mark, they only gave up 6 kills across the course of the game as well. They played incredibly well, vision control, playing to their composition, doing just an impeccable job of understanding exactly how to play their comp. And is this a sign of things to come for H2k?
I mean, it's so exciting to see a team being put together with so many new players here. 2 rookie carries, Caedrel and Sheriff, being able to go into a game, fall behind, but then still actually keep it under control and just wait for one moment. And then they strike, then they punish a mistake, and then they play the late game fights so well. Because again, this comp was not easy to play. Even in the late game when you're full items, one member steps forward, you get CC'd, you die instantly, and you lose the fight. But instead, they were dancing in and out. Smittyj in the last few fights did not, get hit by a bubble first. He actually had a great performance overall on this Vladimir. And Sheriff on the Vayne.
Sheriff on that Vayne was absolutely unstoppable. Caedrel as well, the willingness to rift walk forward into the team because he knew what was down, he knew what spells were available. You do only get one shot, and H2k did not miss their chance in this game. It was just amazing stuff from them all around. Fnatic, on the other hand, will be disappointed because they had control of this game. This game was theirs to lose. You said it. We said it, indeed, that they should have won this game, and somehow it just fell apart.
Well, bit like yesterday, when it comes to playing around Baron, they get a bit greedy, lose the patience a little bit, and then they're like, oh, let's just run in and try and kill this one guy, and suddenly you overextend against a composition that wanted to flank you and kill you, and they did. So I think H2k will look at this game, and they knew from the draft that it was going to be very difficult early on. I'm not sure if they expected to not lose all the turrets as fast as they did. But in general, I think they actually just trusted in the late game and said, you know what, guys, if we just get to 2 to 3 items, we're fine. And in this game, it worked out.
And we talked to Veteran yesterday about just how strong this team is as a lineup. It's showed today, didn't it? H2k pulled off a fantastic upset against Fnatic. Let's head over to Pyro with a word from their mid laner.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Caedrel, who just got his first win on the LCS stage. You've been all through Challenger. You have never quite gotten your chance, and of course, losing yesterday. Now you finally get that first W. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, yesterday we should have won, but I mean, I had lots of nerves, I think. I just misplayed a few things, and yeah. But today's game went a lot better.
It certainly did. I mean, not only did you guys win, you did it against Fnatic, a team that many people are looking at to be the favorites in the LCS Spring Split. You beat Caps, man. I mean, what does that do for your personal confidence?
Yeah, it's a huge confidence boost. I mean, I think we beat them as a team. I don't think I individually outperformed them at all. I think it was pretty even. But yeah, I think as a team, we just withheld their push, and then we managed to win.
Yeah, they were really pushing down towers early on, but you guys kind of fired back on all cylinders. You had some great engagements. Your composition seemed to scream late game. When you were drafting early on, did you just assume the game was going to go past 40 minutes?
Yeah, when they picked Sivir Zoe, we were like, okay, it's going to be a lot of wave clear like most of the games before. But once they picked 3 tanks, Sheriff was confident on Vayne, so we knew we had an outscaling AD carry. So as long as the game wasn't, like we didn't lose too many inhibitors, then we knew that we could outscale them.
Fair enough. All right, so I got to ask this one about every new EU mid laner that comes in. It's a proud legacy of EU mid laners. Where do you see yourself stacking up? Keeping in mind, you did just beat Teenage Faker.
Yeah, as a personal mid laner, I think I'm probably like top 5 right now, but I think I'm a bit nervous on stage still. So once those go, and like I play like I do in scrims, then I think I can be pretty good, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to see you develop, Caedrel. Once again, congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, we're going to go away for 3.5 minutes, but don't go anywhere. When we return, I'll be catching up with Freddy122 from Team Rocket. Be right back.
Well, if this fight doesn't erupt, which is going to do the stand unite, that taunt coming out of their first blood. They got a kill. In from Santorin on towards that backline, and Caedrel's hit still. They get Rekkles, and H2k somehow survive. They've lost 1. Now they're looking for a little bit more. Caedrel gets the presence of mind to jump on towards Broxah, and Sheriff gets another. Fnatic went for the engage, but they fall apart in the hands of H2k.
I'm on 3 seconds. Back out of it. I'm on HP. This is that.
I just die instantly. There's a 4-item Sivir. Oh! That can also happen, by the way.
Towards the top side, sOAZ looking for the knockup. There's the stun, there's the silence, there's the numb. Goodbye, Smittyj.
No, we can't do that. Oh my god, man, he had vision there. It's fine.
Okay.
Let's reset.
Sheriff's still on the Nexus tower. Fnatic gonna try and turn it back around. It's up to Caps. Can't get onto Caedrel. The Nexus is gonna fall, and H2k take the win over Fnatic.